Today we finna be addressing many important and urgent topics from the energy of Solomon, which is cascading from the spirit plane. And we're gonna be diving back into some of the topics we was talking about earlier. Even when I said in the next video, we're gonna be talking about the schools. These videos from the wisdom of Solomon that I've been making recently been centered around making America great again in real life. And the 77-point plan that I actually have, that one day, whenever I'm in office, I'll introduce to the public, and we'll be able to move forward and actually make America great again. Before we get into the schools and some of the ideas that I actually have for the schools to make them better and bring them up to Aquarian standards, this book, you can order it on Amazon. It's on all platforms in all languages. You can get the audio book. And you can tap into some of my energy and some of my messages, and you'll see that these 77 frequency books are very advanced, and they will add unto your spiritual knowledge. As I have said often in many of the videos of the past for my Israelites, for those that is the first time seeing my videos, I'm glad you can make it to the video. I am an Israelite from the house of David. And this is how I tell my brothers to go to church. You bring the Bible and you bring your 77 frequency book. This book is wrote in perfect frequency with the Bible. So throughout this book, every couple of sentences, you got a list of Bible scriptures that align with the sentences that I have in the book. So the information is constantly can be cross-referenced with the Bible. You have the ability to test the spirit by the spirit because I'm bringing a lot of new information to the physical plane. The information that I'm delivering is coming from this scroll. And as you can see, the seal of David is on there. It's coming from that scroll right there. It's additional information to add onto the Bible. And it's a blend of knowledge from ancient knowledge to future knowledge, perfectly blended and synchronized to align with the Bible. The next book that I'm going to deliver is a book on prophecy, straight from the Holy Spirit, and I trust it enough. As you can see how young I am, I'm going to give it to y'all now. So the stuff that's in that book, a lot of it going to come true while I'm still here. And everybody going to see the significance of my book. And as the years pass, more and more events in my book going to come true. And it's just going to catapult higher and higher. That's comparable almost, not quite, but almost, to a canon before the Aquarian age, right? So my book is the Aquarian energy. So it's a book on things to come. And for this reason, this is one of the reasons why I said I have the foresight to be a future leader in this country, or either I can go to Belize and do the same thing. I am a Belazar. Or I could simply wait for the Most High God to come and get us and take us back to North Africa like he said he was going to do. And he said he was going to put the house of David back over his people. I could hold this knowledge all the way into that time, and then I could come forward and boost my Israel all the way to the top. You see? So I do have the foresight. God has shown me visions and dreams of things to come, and I recorded a lot of it in that book. For this reason, I have the skills necessary to help to redesign the platforms that we're going to be operating on for the age of Aquarius and give the United States a tremendous boost, placing them comfortably ahead of all other countries, because they're going to have to catch up with all the stuff that we're going to already be doing. Because God says so, you know? So God chose us, God chose America, and some people look at it and it's hard for them to understand it because they see the wickedness in America. But this is what I want to tell the brothers. I need you to see the righteousness of America. I need you to understand that America is the home of the Israelites. America is the home of the tribe of Judah, as well as the house of David, as well as the majority of Christians. on the planet that's willing to go to the cross with Christ if necessary. America is blessed, brother, because for that simple reason. I want you to remember when God said he will never leave nor forsake us. So the Spirit of God is here in America with us. Wherever the tribe of Judah is, the Spirit of God ain't going to be far away. Remember, he said that the scepter would never leave the tribe of Judah. Always remember that. For this reason, God chose America. When people's looking, they see the wickedness of some of the people in America, some of the platforms and some of the activities that's taking place in America. You got to realize Judas Iscariot was right at the hip of Jesus. He was right on Jesus' heels. Everywhere Jesus went, Judas Iscariot was right there. He was wicked. He was controlled by the devil. He was a high-ranking brick on a dark, sinister pyramid, for he played a role in the murdering or assassination of the only begotten Son of God. Therefore, historically, Judas Iscariot played a major role among the dark, sinister pyramid and for the dark kingdom of darkness. He was a demon. The dude walked with Jesus for 3 years at the least. Just think about that. So Satan's kingdom is always near the brightest light. Since America is the home of the tribe of Judah, as well as the Israelites, we still got Gad over here, we got Ephraim, we got our Hispanics over here, and we got many other tribes. We got Reuben over here with us. We got the Levites over here with us. We got Benjamin over here with us. Many of the Israelite tribes reside in America, as well as some of the stronger pillars of the Christian faith, as well as the church. We're the home of the reigning Pope. God is showing you he chose America. God chose a Pope from America. Pay attention, right? You got the house of David, we American. So just pay attention to all these things and realize that God chose us. So in America, if you ask me, we the tip of the spear for the kingdom of God on the physical plane. The tribe of Judah is and always will be the tip of the spear for the kingdom of God. Jesus is the King of kings, and he descended from Judah. So always remember that. Jesus, the cornerstone of the pyramid of light, as well as the capstone of the pyramid of light, is from the house of Judah. Always remember that. So Judah is the tip of the spear for the kingdom of God, with Jesus being the pinnacle of that spear. For this reason, the dark, sinister pyramid and the wicked one seeks to establish a powerful headquarters in America and right in the midst of the sons of God. This is why my Israelites and my Christians and my light workers and many of my righteous Muslims, my righteous people that's under the energy of Buddha, my righteous people that walk in love and still walk in the energy of the Hindus, my righteous people that walk in the love vibration, this is why they sense the wickedness among this nation. God is calling us to hold space for the light workers. They may not be as strong as us. God is calling us to hold space for the future members of the tribes of Judah and the church that haven't even been born yet, but they on the spirit plane awaiting their due date to enter into the stargates of their mothers and pass through unto this hallowed ground, sacred soil that we call God's country or America. A tremendous responsibility for holding space has been placed on the shoulders of the Israelites as well as the church, as well as my righteous Muslims, my righteous Hindu, my righteous brothers under Buddha, as well as my light workers that's walking in the vibration of love, to come together and hold space for the future leaders of light of tomorrow. God is calling us to push back against the kingdom of darkness as well as the Antichrist. For this reason, God has given me a scroll to deliver to my people that we may be able to study from, even as a playbook, in order to lead us into victory, so that we may be able to have safe passage from the age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius and hold space for the future leaders. This is a tremendous responsibility. One of the first ideas that I brought to the physical plane is putting the politicians under contract. The reason this keep coming up is because the want that some of my senators and representatives have to remove dark money from out our political structures. The dark money that has entered into our political cycles is a cancer to our democracy and for some our republic, and it hinders our forward progress as well as it stagnates us and keeps us from electing the best people for office. A lot of times we simply elect the people with the better endorsements or the people that has the bigger financial machine behind them or the person with the most campaign signs, the better commercials, or we simply vote against the brother that has the most campaign attack commercials directed against them. I want my Christians and Israelites in America, for we all have one thing in common, and it's this book. This book given us by King James Stewart, whom I am a descendant of, it teaches us that no man is perfect. With us knowing no man is perfect, if we're going to have attack commercials, we should be attacking both candidates instead of one. These PACs, P-A-C-T-S, that are forming to attempt to usurp, U-S-U-R-P. Remember, I am Creole and I talk with an accent. To usurp our system of democracy have to be called out, and we have to shine the light on them. My investigative journalists and independent news services, I need y'all to begin to investigate where these PACs that's attacking these candidates are getting their money from. And eventually we're going to find out it's coming from other countries, shell companies that are actually face cards and fronts for the wicked one and the dark sinister pyramid who has an unlimited supply of dark money. I want my Americans to realize it's a reason that we call this money dark money. Mic drop. The kingdom of darkness is in your face. So the wicked one has an sincere desire to capture the systems in America, from the executive branch to the legislative branch to the judicial branch, through dark money, and gain access to the nuclear weapons and some of the exotic weapons of war that we have, and bring forth World War III on the physical plane. Remember, the devil came to steal, kill, and destroy. Destruction is what he desires. The devil would have no greater want than the wholesale soul snatching and blood sacrifice that World War III gonna bring forward. We as light workers, Israelites, Christians, good Muslims, good Buddhists and Hindu must push back against this energy. We must hold space for humans that may not be as spiritually alert or focused or awakened or quickened as we are. This is why God has called us to pray for our brethren that may be lost and may be dwelling on a dark path to destruction, even at this time. If we were to introduce contracts for our politicians, we would remove the power of dark money among the political cycles. Some people would say, well, how does that work, brother? Because I heard you say that several times. And I would say, brother, get you a cup of coffee, take a sip, have a comfortable seat over there, and listen to me. The contracts are going to be just like contracts with people that's doing work on your house, NFL contracts, contracts for record labels or anything like that. You won't sign it without reading it. We read the small print. What the contracts are going to do is going to force the politicians to do exactly what they say and honor their word, walk in integrity, and do the promises that they delivered during their campaign season. For them to veer off from those contracts and attempt to do things to please the donors that are not in their contract will result in an automatic impeachment. Through this brilliant plan from the wisdom of Solomon, we would eliminate having Congress bought and paid for and refusing to impeach politicians that have veered away from their campaign promises and are attempting to capture our democracy and lead us into a ditch. Under this new law, what we would do, and the Congress had the ability to bring this forward, what we would do is hold them to their word in the contract. If you violate one stipulation on the contract, it's called breach of contract. It results with you coming before Congress for impeachment. So Congress still gonna have the power to impeach. But if they decide that they don't want to do it, and you violate another stipulation, then you automatically impeach and you don't have to go before Congress, but we the people would be in charge with enforcing this impeachment. This gives the power back to the people, while simultaneously keeping the senators and the congressmen with a certain amount of power as well. So this is a wonderful system, and what it'll do is get us around the loophole that is allowing strong men that are well funded by billionaires the ability to capture our Senate and our Congress and avoid being impeached even though they violating the contract. I like some of some of the challenges that we recently have faced, because it allowed us to prepare for future challenges and insulate our system, close the loopholes so that they will no longer be able to do the things that they doing this time. Number two, what I want you brothers to understand, by us putting the politicians under contract, what we would effectively do is begin to elect the smarter, more, with better equipped politician to political office, because we'll get to compare the contracts between the two guys or the female or whoever running. At this time right now, we got politicians that's just getting up there and calling people names, and whoever could talk the best is the one that we tend to elect. And the media has even called it the greatest hits, when a politician just going from city to city and they just have this pre-planned speech that's a lot of entertainment, but really is no substance to it. With the political contracts, we will force them to present their substance so that we can look over it. It builds the pool to contracts, and we hold the NFL and NBA players to contracts. Why don't we hold the politicians to contracts? I know that it would be practically impossible for us to have a politician to come with this amendment. So it's going to take we the people to come with this. So it's going to have to be a freshman congressman or senator that comes with this plan, with this amendment, because the people that's already in office, it's going to be hard for us to get them to agree to pass or even bring an amendment forward that potentially could remove some power from them, even though it would strengthen our democracy. I wish George Washington and them could have came with this at first, but what I like to explain to my brothers is they didn't foresee robber barons capturing our democracy. At the time when George Washington and Abraham Lincoln and all them guys was in control, we the people still enjoyed the privilege of having majority of the power in the country. The industrialists came later with legendary industrialists like Henry Ford, J. Rockefeller, and different great American legends like these brothers that industrialized America and put us in a position to lead the world and become number one. But they also set a precedent that allowed in later times the robber barons to emerge. The robber barons seek to gain more and more of a foothold of control within our republic. As long as our political cycles are being controlled by big money, we are allowing the billionaires basically to dictate the politics in America. Sometimes the things that they desire may not be in the best interest of the people. For instance, the tax cut for billionaires that they just passed that caused us to go on a tremendous deficit but put money back in their pockets. If you're already a billionaire, pay your taxes. We ought to pay taxes. I'm a truck driver. I have to pay taxes, so why shouldn't the billionaires pay taxes? Why would Americans even agree to this? Why would we even elect officials that would sign off on this? We practically got to vote out 75% of the people we have in Congress right now in order to wash away the filth and replace them with Americans representing we the people that have integrity, that are not well trained in finding loopholes to pad your pockets and take advantage of the average everyday American or taxpayer. For this reason, I want to bring contracts to the political sphere. Just picture what I'm saying. When we come down to the debate each politician will be responsible for submitting his contract to America before the people on the big screen so that we all as a group can look at the do's and don'ts of this guy's contract. We can see what he's saying he's gonna do and what he's not gonna do. And we still giving him a lot of wiggle room because whatever he don't stipulate in the contract, he's not hamstrung by it, for lack of a better word. So we only can impeach you according to the stipulations on your contract. So that's one loophole with the contracts. Because we only gonna vote for you according to your contract. So if it ain't in your contract, you could do it and we don't have the right to impeach you because it ain't in there. So the politician can always step up and say, I ain't never say I wasn't gonna go to war. That wasn't in my contract. And we the people gonna be like, well, it wasn't in there, so we can't do them nothing. Sustained, boom, you can go ahead to war. You see? So they still gonna have wiggle room, but with us putting them under contract, what it's gonna do is it's gonna bring forth competition among the politicians to present the better case, the better contract in order to get elected. So they're gonna have to cover all the bases. Whatever they leave out their contract could hurt them in the future. Use an example of that. Let's say I plan on running for Senate. So I put in my contract that if I'm elected, I'm going to fight to raise minimum wage, the federal minimum wage for all Americans, right? I put that as a stipulation within my contract. But the other Senate candidate don't put it in his. That's going to hurt him in the polls because the people going to still say, well, he's talking about boosting minimum wage. He ain't say nothing about it. Also at debate night, remember I said you can amend your contract at debate night. So at debate night, somebody can raise their hand or call in and bring that up because my contract going to be on the big screen and his going to be on the big screen. So you're going to get to see both contracts. So the people going to be able to raise their hand and question that guy. So you're going to be able to say, sir, he has that he's going to fight for a boost to minimum wage across the board in every state. We think that that's a good idea because the cost of living been constantly going up, but minimum wages have remained stagnant, and it to the tune of making the middle class become the lower class because our dollar is stretching a lot less further than it used to. So when you spend $100 in the grocery store now, you leave out with one bag, but let's say 5 years ago you may have left out the store with 4 bags. Therefore, with inflation going up at a record pace and the wages remaining stagnant, it has inadvertently rendered the middle class into the lower class and the lower class into the working poor. This Senate candidate has a plan to boost minimum wages, which all of us are looking forward to. And for this reason, we may vote for him. We see in your contract, you don't say nothing about it. So what do you think about boosting minimum wage? And let's say the Senate candidate says, well, I agree with him. I think we should boost minimum wage. Right then, the same guy can stand up and say, well, can you please write that in your contract? And he say, sure. And at this point, while the contract's still on the big screen, the mediator pulls out the liquid paper, and if he needed, he can mark over it, or he pulls out the contract and gives him a pen, a Sharpie, and all us watch when the guy write, I will fight to increase minimum wage across the country. Number 19. Before this, he only had 18 stipulations. Now he got 19 because he had the amendment. And the crowd stand up and clap. This is how the debate's going to be. If you're paying attention to what I'm saying, it's going to produce unity among our country for the debates because it's going to give us a family feeling. Even, like I said, almost like The Price is Right. When people going to be like, yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. we're going to be feeling like that because the contracts matter to we the people. Because whatever is on that contract is exactly what that guy going to do. If it ain't in his contract, we can't expect him to do it. This is what makes the contract so powerful, is our ability to have amendments, to amend the contracts at debate night. So he may come to the show with 17 principles on there, but when he leave, he end up with 28. We made him put so many amendments on there. Then you got people calling in. We got lawyers. We got politicians from other states calling in. I mean, we really working with them contracts. In this way, we will remove the power from dark money, because we going to only vote for the person with the best contract. We don't care how many campaign signs you got. If we don't like your contract, we ain't going to vote for you. We don't care how many attack commercials you got for this guy. He has to do exactly what's on his contract. Think about what I'm saying. So you can't say we can't trust him, because if we can't, if he get up there and veer off from that contract, he going to get impeached. These contracts are for local municipalities all the way up to federal offices. In this way, we'll make them put up a shut up, and we will cause them to do exactly what they say on the stump on their campaigns. I think this would be a great idea. And for my senators that have been trying to think of how can we remove dark money, I just presented it to you. In this way, we give all the candidates a chance. Even I would have a chance to run for president, because I could just present my 77-point plan. And everybody going to be looking at my contract 4 pages long, 77 different things. And they looking at his with only 17 stipulating. They like, he got 17, he got 77 in his contract. I'm going to beat them all like that. In this way, we're going to begin to get the best people in office. So we don't care if you won 15 years in a row. That don't mean nothing no more. You can be beat by somebody from Georgetown, somebody from Georgia Tech, or even somebody from Southern University, or even Alabama A&M or UCLA, because they got a better contract than you. Understand, we level the playing field with the contracts. Somebody need to present this idea to Bernie Sanders. We need to get this done now. We level the playing field with contracts. And believe me, the big money donors are upset every time I start talking about the contracts. They look at me like the Pharisees looked at Jesus. The same way. We got to stop him. He finna rescue America with these type ideas. I'm going to wrestle it out the hands of the wicked one. And we're going to push back against the Antichrist. So the contracts are necessary. So after that, we're going to talk. So now we're going to get into the remaking of the schools. I wrote down a few notes about some of the things I want to do about the schools. All right. First and foremost, we want to focus on the inner talent in the kids, which will provide us the opportunity to set up systems for early alignment. And some of my brothers say, what is that, man? I mean, elaborate on that. And I say, okay. Within the first 3 years of schooling of your kid, we're going to send them through real thorough and vigorous academic testing programs, psychological programs, and different programs that's going to help us to identify the inner talents and passions of your child. The way my system is going to be set up is no child left behind. God has given all us talent. We're going to identify the hobbies and passions of that child early. It's many other tools that I'm going to be using to identify the talents in the children, which are extremely accurate, that I'm not willing to discuss at this point. I'm saving it for when it's time for me to actually implement some of this stuff and I roll out my plans, this is when I'm going to solidify and prove to people I'm really capable of doing this, what I'm saying. So we're going to identify the inner talent in kids, and then we're going to align them with the educational programs that harness those talents and brings it out the kid. So the kids are going to go from being bored in school to loving school. Attendance rate going to be at an all-time high because the children going to go to schools that align with their talents. These schools are going to be based on the Aquarian job market. They're going to also be based on the needs of the country. So when we saying, well, we have a shortage in the medical field, or a shortage in engineers, or we having a shortage in rocket scientists, whatever we having a shortage in is what we're going to give a boost in the amount of schools that specialize in that trade. Remember in the earlier video I said that we're going to put trades of a like vibrational frequency within the same school. And I used an example of the Performing Arts School of Journalism was going to be the same school where we was going to have musicians, journalists, let's say ministers, anybody that would have a job that would cause them to be a speaker, radio DJs, all this type of stuff. And even in elementary, we're going to be training these kids to speak before audiences. I'm going to just go in depth with this one topic to show y'all what I mean when I say specialized schools. Instead of us having these kids studying geometry, this the school of journalism, man. We don't do that here. Geometry gonna be a class that they do in the school of architects, where we have carpenters, architects, engineers, all that. They need geometry. But the school of journalism is where we gonna have the kids studying words, English, proper pronunciation, speaking etiquette, body language when speaking. This is where we're going to train them to overcome the fear of speaking before large crowds, even as early as the 3rd grade. I mean, all kind of stuff like this. We're going to test them in their ability to hear different frequencies and play instruments. We're going to test them. We're going to have choir in this class. This is going to be a class where we're going to have music lessons at this school. I mean, this is going to be a very, very rigorous program of specialized schools that I want to establish. And in this way, we going to have our kids so much advanced on the side of other kids. It's going to give us a more specially trained and specialized trained set of workers for the workforce, as well as a more intellectually matured group of voters. It's going to automatically raise the quality of life among Americans in this one thing. The schools are important because it's the leaders of tomorrow. And I'm willing to sit down with a group of teachers, professors, and other brilliant people and bring forth the skeleton to my plan for specialized schools. And it's going to be just like the contracts that the politicians have. We're going to add and subtract as a group and come up with the final plan that we're going to present to the American people. Okay. The curriculum that we're going to be teaching, so we need to redo the curriculum. We need to adjust our curriculum in school and adapt it to the changing world. There has been no time of emergency like now in the country that we love, that we call America. Because America was founded in the age of Pisces. America was founded less than 300 years ago, but the continent has had people for thousands and thousands of years. But the country that we call America has only been here a couple of hundred years. It was founded after Jesus, and the birth of Jesus signified the beginning of the age of Aquarius. So America was only here for the age of Aquarius. We've never experienced the changing of an age as a country. This is why this is an emergency. Because the age of Aquarius has a whole different set of rules, a whole different set of regulations. It's going to produce a different job market. It's going to produce different vibrational signals and different amounts of knowledge and wisdom. And the gnosis is going to be different. Our schools have to have the ability to adapt in the changing of times, and we're going to do this by having the foresight to begin to adjust our schools to align with the Aquarian curriculum. The Piscean school books was filled with lies. Some people say little white lies, but they became big white lies once the person that was taught it became an adult that may have even been elected to a political office, and they believed that little white lie that they was taught in school. We can't afford to teach lies to our people, but we need to have the most well-equipped group of students that stand on the foundation, which is truth, with the ability to overcome any problems that we face in the age of Aquarius. So the curriculum that we're going to be bringing forth going to be an Aquarian curriculum. It ain't going to be the same as the Piscean curriculum. And what we're going to do is make our schools uniform nationwide. So we will no longer have this phenomenon where the schools in Massachusetts is so much better than the schools in some of the southern states. That's unfair. So I don't need to hear my people in Massachusetts talking about how underinformed some of the southern voters are for electing some of the politicians that they elect, like I hear them saying on some of them podcasts. I don't want to hear that because y'all not giving these people the same school books y'all have. Y'all mocked the people of Louisiana with the movie The Water Boy, remember? And with the show Just Shoot 'Em, remember? Y'all mocked us. We need to have one set of school books for the entire country. All the schools of journalism gonna have the same books. All the schools of engineering gonna have the same books. All the medical schools gonna have the same books. All the law enforcement schools gonna have the same books. All our kids gonna be perfectly synchronized and on one accord. What this is gonna do is gonna forge unity. Anybody in the military will tell you the benefits of having our armed forces and having all our soldiers synchronized. Synchronicity is a benefit in forging unity and strength among a group of people. The energy that I'm bringing forward from the wisdom of Solomon is based on basic fundamentals that must be presented and implemented in order to fortify our democracy, or some say republic, and catapult us to the #1 spot in the age of Aquarius without a peer, with no competition. Don't tell me how great this country is in this country, but let's sharpen the skills of the kids in America by empowering our schools. Right? Another thing I want to do is have a better equipped set of teachers that are fully motivated. I want to get the teachers a raise, and I want to set up a system where the teachers are rewarded, and I mean in every school. So we're not going to have a teacher of the year, but it's just representing the school district. We're going to have a teacher of the year at every school, and they're going to receive a financial reward given to them by the federal government. This is how we make the taxpayers' money work for the taxpayers. By investing in our teachers, in our schools, and in our children. The children are the future, and this is the best investment we can make with taxpayers' money. Let's invest less money in weapons and in the weaponization of our country. And let's invest in unity and in the sharpening of the academic skills of our teachers as well as our students. I think that'll be a great idea. So what we want to do is implement a system of rewards for the teachers in order to motivate them to be on their best A game every day they come to work. Right? Through the implementation of rewards based on academic performance of their students, and we want to give it away liberally. We don't want the teachers to feel like only one teacher can get this in this parish, but we want them to feel like, no, every teacher at the school got a chance to get that. They give this out to every school, and they got a first place, second place, and third place. So you might not get the $100,000 reward, but you might get the $50,000 reward. Or you might just get the $25,000 reward, but that's still a lot of money to get at the end of the year just for being a great teacher. It pays to be on your A game as a teacher under my administration, right? So we want the schools to be uniform, so none of the kids will be at a disadvantage. And another note that I took on the remaking of the schools is making our colleges more specialized than they is now. So what I want to do is go to each state and bring the smartest people in the country with me. And we want to look at all the platforms in that state. We want to look at the positive and the negatives of that state. And the positives we're going to take note of and try to implement the positives in other states. And the negatives we're going to try to reinforce and use the positive from other states in the areas where you negative it to enforce yours. So let's say your interstates is one of your weak points, but it's a strong point in California. Well, we're going to implement the wisdom from California in the building of your interstate system. Let's say the weak point in your state, criminal justice system, but the criminal justice system is the strong point in Montana. Then we're going to implement the strengths of Montana's criminal justice system in your state. So we need to set up a platform and a forum for better sharing of knowledge between the states. When we go to your state and we identify the weaknesses in the state, these are the specialized programs that we're going to implement at the colleges in your state, giving you the ability to produce homegrown in your state the great thinkers of tomorrow that are strengthened in the areas where you weak at, so that you begin to churn out problem solvers within your own state. This is just one of the ideas that I have for the colleges. Also, I want y'all to remember that I said I'm going to start passing out monetary rewards to different teams of college students in these specialized schools that I have researching medicines, researching how to remove radiation, and researching different aspects of life in society that are weak points for our country. The same process I'm going to use in the states is the same process I'm going to use in the country. As the micro reflects the macro, the country going to reflect the states in strengthening our overall process and strengthening our schools. This is just some of my ideas, and in future videos from the Wisdom of Solomon, we're going to be addressing many others. Until next time, Selah.